This is Luke Radowski of WeAreChange.org. I'm riding shotgun with Carlos Miller with Photography is Not a Crime.
What's happening?
We're sitting here and Carlos has an amazing story about the importance of calling the police when someone is arrested as a matter of action. Now, Carlos has a camera guy here, and he has a very interesting story that he wants to share with you. Now, Carlos, can you tell us what happened with yourself and the Boston Police Department?
Yeah, well, the Boston Police Department, I called it the Boston Boondoggle. That became very an interesting story. It became very popular with my readers, and what happened was, it's a long story, so I'm going to just bear with me. About it. We have a long drive, we're going back home, and back in August, I wrote a story about a guy up in Boston who was video recording police making an arrest, which of course is his legal right. And to give you more background, the Glick decision, which confirmed that we have the legal right to record police, once again, and that came out of Boston. I was against the Boston police. That involved an attorney named Simon Glick. So the Boston Police Department should have gotten the memo. But it was 2013 in August where this guy was just walking. He started video recording. A cop walks up to him and tells him to move on, leave, pushes him, shoves him. And while shoving him, he's saying, I will arrest you for battery on a police officer, for felony battery on a police officer. Because pushing him, when the video was very clear, it was a cop committing battery on the guy with the camera. Mm-hmm. So the guy posted a video, and I posted a video on my website. It had like 20 views, and I put it and I wrote it up. It was late. I put it up, and I wrote the story, basing it on the Glick decision, how they're not following it. And what I did, which is what I do very, very often, is I put the phone number to the Boston Police Department, because I do this in cases where it's very obvious the police screwed up, where there's no, where it's not kind of iffy, where the video shows they screwed up, and in this case it was very obvious. So my readers started calling the Boston Police Department, and they started calling, and they called and they called and they called. And Boston PD did not like that. They did not like that at all. They were probably wondering, like, who is this Photography is Not a Crime? Who are these people? What's up with this video? They didn't appreciate that we were calling them. And one of the guys that called them is Taylor Hardy. At the time, he was a journalism student. He just graduated. He reached out to me earlier last year to do some work with me. He's studying to be a video producer, editor, videographer, news guy, and he wanted to work with me. So he on his own, he called the Boston Public Information Officer to ask her if she had seen the video, because I posted it on a weeknight, and the next morning it was already going viral. And he called her that morning, and he asked her, have you seen this video? The PIO said, no, I haven't seen the video. He said, okay. And he hung up, and that was the end of the conversation. What he did, he sent me the video, and that's what I saw. And I first asked him, well, did you tell her you were recording? Because there are wiretapping laws that you have to inform people that you're recording.
Especially in Massachusetts,
right,
where you have to ask permission to record.
Right. Because
did he ask permission?
He did. But what he did was he made a mistake, and he had the iPhone turned off, the iPad turned off. When he asked her, he was fumbling with it, because he was trying to bring up my site to bring up the story, and he didn't, that didn't come out on the video, and it didn't really matter, because when he sent me the video, it was a non-video, because she said, I hadn't seen the video. So I was like, hey, well, I'm not going to waste my time posting this. And about a month or two later, that video remained on his YouTube channel. It had 96 page views, which is nothing, too much. It's nothing, because the video is nothing. But they somehow tracked it down, because it didn't have the public information officer's name. It had Boston PIO, whatever he said. And
how many views did the video have?
About 96, 95.
96 views only, and
less
the
than
Boston
100.
Police Department found
They
that.
found it. And they sent him a letter, because they connected Taylor Hardy to me, because Taylor Hardy was doing some video work for us. Because he
and he was publicly linked to you through your website. Right.
He's part of the team. I'm still building a team, and we're growing, because what I started was a one-man blog, and now we're growing into a multi-report, a multi-person organization, and we're seeking nonprofit status and everything. But so I'm basically forming a team, getting the right people in place, and he's a person I appreciate, I respect, and I trust his work ethic. So he was part of our crew, and so they sent him a letter in October, 2 months later, saying, we are going to charge you with wiretapping because you recorded this public information officer without her permission, and suddenly she's a victim. And so he calls me up and tells me this, and he sends me the letter, and I knew what they're really trying to do was intimidate us from reporting the news. I knew they were really upset because we had posted the initial video that showed them bullying this guy with the camera when they had no legal right to do so, and they should know better because of the Glick decision. Yeah. But you know.
And then you also posted their phone number publicly.
Oh yeah. They didn't appreciate. Yeah, they didn't appreciate us calling them. But you know, this is a publicly listed phone number. This is the First Amendment guarantees us the right to petition the government for redress of grievances, and we're doing this in a more modern way where rather than just go up there with signs and holding it up in front of them, we put the number out there and we call them, and we have a very popular website, so we have people from all over the country calling them, and this is what my readers like doing because they feel we're all doing our part, and they feel like they're going to do their part and call and complain and say, you know, this is not right. They're very respectful. They're saying, look, they go, we didn't appreciate this. You guys should know better. And the whole point is to let the officers know that we are paying attention. Yeah. Because we can't really depend on the local media anymore. We can't depend on the politicians. We certainly cannot depend on the police chiefs and internal affairs to police the police, because we know that's not happening. So we have taken it upon ourselves to step it up a notch and to let them know, look, you know, we're not going to accept it. So, and they did not appreciate that. So when I heard that, when he told me that they wanted him to fly in for a hearing in November, this is October, he had like 2 weeks to do this, for a hearing on felony wiretap, in which it carries a sentence of maximum 5 years. Well, I wrote about it. You know, this is what I do. I wrote about it, and I wasn't happy about it, and I put the phone number to the public information officer. Yeah. You know, because she was the victim that he called, and I put her name, I put her number, and I told my readers, you know, give her a call and talk some sense into her.
Now, this was public. Her phone number, as a public information officer, who's supposed to be reacting to the public, is public online, right?
Well, you know, you have to go through a process where you put in Boston Police public information, and it comes right up top of the Google. So you have to go through that, and then it comes up, and then so I you know, I've made it easy for my readers rather than make my readers go through that process. I go, let me put the number at the bottom of the article. Give this lady a call, and let's talk some sense into her.
Yeah, it's a publicly available number that anybody could get online with a simple Google search.
Well, yeah, I mean, she is a public information officer. So my readers called, and they 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 called. For 2 days, they called, and they did not stop calling. 2 days later, I get an email from a detective from the Boston Police Department, and he says, I want to talk to you about Taylor Hardy. I want to clear this up. Can you call me? I'm the publisher of this website. I want to, you know, Taylor was really freaking out. You know, he's 26 years old. He doesn't have a whole lot of money. He's a student. He works like 3 jobs. You know, I mean, he's just trying to make a living here, and he's like.
And they were trying to get him to go to Boston to face felony wiretapping charges for making a simple video where he asked permission to be recorded. It's insane.
Right.
It's nuts.
Right, and even if he had not asked permission, you know, she's still a public official, and you know, the whole thing's stupid. But he did ask permission, but then, you know, but he was freaking out because, you know, he doesn't want to screw up his career. He doesn't want to end up with a bench warrant down here, with a felony bench warrant. He had never been to Boston. He was like, you know what, I don't know what to do. And he actually bought a plane ticket, and he started working all these extra hours. And I said, well, look, let's try to deal with it. You know, so when this when this detective reached out to me, I called him back. You know, a lot of my readers say, oh, you made a big mistake. You should never talk to police. I don't have any regrets because as publisher of the site, I am going to represent the site. And I kind of fell for his little trick. Okay, I admit that, but I still have no regrets. He goes, okay, yeah, you know, I want to see what we can do about the Taylor Hardy thing. You know, I mean, I go, well, just drop the charges. I want you to stop calling. I want you to drop the charges. He goes, did you post the number? I said, yeah. He goes, well, I'm going to charge you with witness intimidation. And then I was like, what? And as a matter of fact, if your readers keep calling, I'm going to charge every single one of them with witness intimidation.
Wow.
And I go, are you kidding me? I mean, how? I go, one of the things, to get some backtrack on that conversation, he goes, are you recording? I said, no. I go, you recording? He goes, no. So I go, do you record conversations? He goes, no. So how are you going to track down these people who are calling you? I mean, unless you're recording. How are you going to prove that in court? Well, I can't answer that, Carlos, with his Boston accent, and I can't really imitate it. He called me Carlos. And, you know, we had this very interesting conversation. We were very informal. It was kind of civil, and we were very blunt with each other. And I said, well, witness intimidation, that's bullshit, that's bullshit. That you really, you know that's a stretch, because the real intimidation is coming from you guys. It's very obvious. And if you think I'm going to not write about this, if you think I'm going to tell my readers to stop calling, well, I will tell my readers what you said. I will pass that information along. I'll be very happy to do so, but I will guarantee you they're not going to stop calling. And also, I want to let you know, if you want to proceed with this is going to blow up in your face. He goes, you go ahead, Carlos. You go ahead, Carlos. Do what you got to do. And okay, and I did. And so I put his, I basically quoted him. And he told me later, he goes, oh yeah, you corrected, you quoted me accurately. Your story is very accurate. He gave me that. But I asked him not to put my phone number there. I go, well, you basically are trying to put me in prison for 10 years. So I really don't give a fuck, bro. About
so you put his phone number on your website?
Yeah, no, I'm ready to fight you now. I'm ready to go all out, and I'm going to do what I have to do to save my ass from going to prison for 10 years.
Yeah.
So they started calling him, and they called him, and that went on for a couple of days. And then the story started getting picked up by other websites, because suddenly the headline was no longer, we're going after Taylor Hardy or we're going after Carlos Miller. The headline was, Boston PD is threatening to arrest citizens on felony charges for calling a public information number.
That's available to the public.
Right. That was the headline, and that was a story. So naturally, you know how the internet is. People were like, wait, you're saying I'm going to be charged with a felony if I call this public number? Well, I'm going to call. This is the internet, and these are my readers, and these are the readers who read these other sites. And they kept calling, and then the Washington Times, which is a very conservative paper, it's a very mainstream paper, but they actually wrote an editorial about it. They were the first ones. Actually, the first one was the Newspaper Guild, and they wrote an editorial about it. And then they released a statement protesting it. The Washington Times wrote about it. Then a bunch of websites wrote about it. Then the Washington Post ended up writing about it, and it's all basically making the Boston police look like idiots. No one was saying, what did Carlos do? Everyone was saying, what the hell is wrong with these people, Yeah. Boston Globe was calling me, interviewing me. They were calling, they didn't actually, in the end, they didn't write a story, but they were calling them, but they weren't getting any response from the PD. And so meanwhile, Taylor is like, okay, I'm going to fly out there. I got my ticket. I told him, man, you should have bought the ticket. We're going to fight it from here. I kind of gone through these things before, not to that extent, but I've beaten 3 cases where I've been arrested down here, and I've kind of learned how to fight the system. So, and it really boils down to, you really can't be afraid if you know you're right. You can't let them intimidate you, and you have to fight them in a court of public opinion as well as in a court of law. So I don't want to fly up there. I don't want to go to Boston in the middle of November while I'm finishing up a book. If I go to Boston, I want to go hang out in the pubs and have a good time. I don't want to go and sit in a courtroom with a cop who's claiming she's a witness because we called her and asked her for public information. So I have a couple of friends of mine who are attorneys for the Digital Media Law Project based in Harvard, and they reached out to me. They said, look, we got some lawyers who might be willing to help you out. Just let me know. Just give me the green light, and we'll reach out to them. I said, please do, because I don't know anybody. I don't know that many people up there. So they did, and we got in contact with a lawyer, one of the best lawyers in Boston, who normally charges a lot more. But he goes, look, this is late notice, and I know you're friends with the Digital Media Law Project, so I'll charge you $2,000. But this was on a Tuesday. The hearing was on a Thursday. We were supposed to be there. Taylor had bought his ticket, and I told Taylor, return that. He did. He got his money back. I didn't buy my ticket. I said, screw it. I'm going to fight it from here. I'm going to fight it in my home turf. Now, I'm not going to go into their arena to fight it. I'm going to fight it, in my arena. My arena is the blog, the PINAC. That's where I fight it. And we got the best. So this was kind of a very interesting. This is the first time we really did this, where I'm not very comfortable asking people for money, although my readers have been generous over the years in donating and helping this site. But I only actually resort to asking them when I really need it. It's actually when I'm being threatened with jail time. And so I was sitting at Starbucks, and I'm talking to Taylor, and we had several attorneys we were talking to, and one attorney said, I'll do it for $600, but then you're going to have to come back and continue with all the hearings, and you had to pay more. and this is going to be very timely, and we got to pay for hotel rooms. And although we had friends that said we could stay with them, but I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
So I said, let's go with the best attorney, the $2,000 attorney, and let's clear this up. And I needed $2,000 in 24 hours. I was in Starbucks in Coral Gables. I took my laptop out. I sat it up on a newspaper stand. I put it on video, and I started recording, because I was going to do a Kickstarter. And I just put up the headphones and the mic, and people are walking by. I don't really care. Everybody's just doing their own thing, and explaining to my readers who already knew what was going on, but explaining to other people who might come across this, to give them background, just give them the whole story, And it's kind of a convoluted story because it goes back to another videographer whom I don't even know in Boston, he's already out of the picture by this time. And I said, look, we need $2,000 in 24 hours. We need to get the best lawyer, and we really need this. And this is really important because we are being threatened with prison time. I'm being threatened with a charge of witness intimidation, which is a charge reserved for gangsters and mobsters. This is the way it's always been in Massachusetts. Every lawyer told me that I am the first journalist who had faced the charges of witness intimidation. That is very clear. I put a phone number there. Witness intimidation is when you call someone up and say, don't testify or I'll kill you. That's witness intimidation. And, so I put that up there, and I hope for the best. And I told Taylor, look, hopefully we'll get the $2,000. And he's like, okay, hopefully. And we got the $2,000 in 4 hours. 4 hours. Wow. It was, and it came from everywhere. And it came from Europe. It came from Canada. It came from all over the United States. People were getting $50, $100, $5, $10. We had $2,000 in 4 hours. We had $4,200 in 24 hours. I called the attorney. I go, okay, we will send you the money. Here's the money. And he got the money. He took the case. I announced it on Facebook. Boston PD, like a lot of police departments, including the Miami-Dade Police Department's Homeland Security Division, they all follow me on Facebook, although they don't openly admit it. And so they got word. I got the lawyer, and this is a lawyer that's comes from a very, very prestigious law firm in Boston. He's been a lawyer for 30, 40 years, since '76. And so he knows a lot of people. So as soon as I did that, and he called me. He called me up later that afternoon, that Wednesday, and he goes, Carlos, you're not going to believe what happened. And I go, no, because their attorney just called me out of the blue, and they asked me, are you representing Carlos Miller and Taylor Hardy? I said, yes. We'd like to go into mediation. And I'm thinking, okay, what does that mean? I'm not going to cop a plea deal. I'm thinking, okay, here we go with the typical bullshit. We'll give you disorderly conduct, and and I'm not going to accept that. I go, no, I'm not going to accept the plea deal. I already thought, here we go, the typical lawyer, we're going to just plea down and take that. I thought that was. He goes, no. He goes, I don't think that's what it is. I think they want to drop everything. It's very rare. That's never happened to me before. This is a lawyer since '76. Usually we want to go into mediation after the initial hearing. Yeah. This time, before the initial hearing. Okay, so we canceled the Thursday. It turned out there was no hearing. They canceled that hearing on Thursday. They went into mediation on Friday, and their request was, and it came through their lawyer, is please have your readers stop calling. please, for the life of God, have your readers stop calling. That's what my lawyer says. He's like they're begging. He's like they're going crazy. The phones are not. They don't stop ringing. They can't do their job, and there's they're not happy. They please stop calling. Please stop calling. And I said, I can ask my readers if they can stop calling like I did the first time, but if they kept calling the first time, but if you drop the charge, I imagine they would stop. And then he goes, okay. And the other thing they asked was please remove the phone number for the detective. Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. Okay, I think we proved that point. If you drop the charge, that's okay. I'll remove that. I don't like to remove things from my website, but I'll do it in this case, and I'll explain to my readers why. And the third request was, please inform any public official in the future that you are recording them when you're recording them. And that's a given, because we do that anyway. This was just a screw up that will never happen again. So yeah, of course, we will do that. Okay, and we'll withdraw the charges. That's what they said. Okay, and so, we won. I consider that a victory. I wrote it up. I was very happy because we didn't have to fly up there.
You know,
Yeah.
I beat it from Miami. As you can see, we have great weather here in Miami. I don't want to.
We definitely do.
Yeah, I mean, Boston in November. I mean, you know, Boston is a great town. I mean, but it's very cold.
It's not Miami.
It's not Miami, and you don't want to. I mean, look, going to court in Miami sucks, and going to court in Boston would suck even more because I mean, I'm out of my home turf, and it's just. I just didn't want to do it. So we you know, and what the important part was that we really proved the point here. It was we came together. It was my readers, and I'm very, very appreciative of my readers. It was very touching for me because, you know, a lot of times my readers criticize me, they complain, and we get it. We have debates and discussions, and we don't always agree. We don't always meet eye to eye. We do agree on the most important things, of course, but you know, that's how it is. You know, we're like a family, and you know, it's not always perfect with your family, but you know, you say what you say, you move on. But when it comes down to it, they back me up, and people were backing me up. That, you know, people were donating. That I thought, man, I didn't even think that guy liked me. I was like, really? And people like, I didn't even think they ever commented. I didn't even think this guy read my blog. And people were messaging me. People were just coming out of the woodworks and saying, you know, they're the lurkers. That's what it was. The lurkers came out and they say, yeah, look, I've been reading your blog for years, and I've never really contributed, but here it is. Here's $50. Here's $100. You know, it was nice, man.
I really think the most important part of this story is how bothered the police departments are when you phone bomb them, when you call them and you let them know that you're not happy with what they're doing. And I think that was amazing. Also, I think another good part of the story is, you know, this person, you know, wasn't even working for you. He was just someone who wanted to work for you. You decided, instead of just letting him deal it, you know, on his own, you stood up for him. You took part of that fight. You got involved, and you proved how much power we have when we all come together, when we can accomplish anything. And you pretty much had all the charges dropped. They were so pissed off that you know, people were calling them, that they just lied and threw all these crazy charges at your friend. And then, you know, they try to step up. They try to bully you.
Yeah, they try to. You know, the irony is they're blaming me for intimidation, and they were the ones doing all the intimidation.
Exactly.
And you know, going back to Taylor, you know, Taylor, he doesn't have the platform I have. He you know, and I know how that is because when I was arrested in 2007, I didn't have the website, and I really didn't know what to do, and I kind of put it out on the internet, and I know how to write, and it did get out there, but a lot of the people I write about, they don't have that. So this is what my blog, it serves that purpose. It gets the story out there, and it's like the voice to the people who have no voice. And I wasn't going to let Taylor just, you know, hang on and dry. Okay, oh, sorry, buddy, you're on your own.
Yeah.
No, dude, I mean, we're in it together, and the fact that the Boston PD dragged me into this, that was the biggest mistake they ever made.
Exactly.
Because like, oh, now we're going to bring, because they thought, we're going to go after Carlos Miller now, and we're going to charge him with felony witness intimidation, which comes with a 10-year prison sentence, and we'll show him up. We'll show him up. We'll prove that we are tougher than him. And that was the biggest mistake, because I'm like, you know, I'm not going to be intimidated. Are you kidding me? I know my rights. I know the law, and I know I can speak, and as long as I'm not libeling anybody, I'm fine, you know. And I'm not going to stop.
Yeah, just like any bully, if you stand up to them, they cower. Photography is not a crime. Check out that website. Subscribe to them. They're doing really good, amazing work. Carlos, I can't thank you enough. And again, if one of us goes to jail, I hope you guys call.
Yes, and Luke, welcome to Miami. We're having a great time. And let's say hi to Andrew Meyer back there.
Don't tase me, bro.
Yes.
If we don't get pulled over in a couple minutes, the police aren't doing their job right.
Yeah,
Homeland Security, where are you?
Yeah, let me say a couple things. You know, like I announced a few months ago that Andrew Meyer is coming in as a writer, and we're going through big changes of photography is not a crime. I'm going to put the website through a huge redesign, and we're going to rebuild a site because it has a lot of technical issues. And I'm putting a team together. Andrew just finished his bar. Did you get the results yet? The bar?
Not in a week. Wish me luck.
Okay, so yeah, you know, Andrew might be our house lawyer. You never know, but Andrew's still going to be writing. But we are going through some big changes, and it's a lot of exciting things happening. You know, we're setting the team in place, and now we have a lot of people with money who are willing to invest in this to help this grow. So just keep, you know, just keep posted. You know, I mean, hopefully in a few months I'll have some big announcements. Hopefully sooner, but things are coming together. And thanks for reading. Whoever reads it, if you haven't read before, check out the site because we're having a lot of fun out there.
Thank you, Carlos. Thank you, Andrew. You guys are doing fascinating, amazing work. Photography is not a crime. This is Luke Radowski reporting for WeAreChange out in South Beach, Miami.
Yes.